welcome to the Blood Angels Commander channel.
Hey, good evening folks. How's everybody tonight? Hello, hello, hello. What's happening? I figured I had finished my incursors. Thought what I'd maybe do is just tiny little touches up on a couple of my commission models, because I'm a perfectionist and certain things need to match. So I thought maybe I'd do a tiny bit of touch up on a couple of things, and then get the varnish going. So maybe do some transfers tonight as well. We'll see. But at our break yesterday, the top of this, the turret from the Gladiator, I dropped my tape measure on top of the Gladiator. I already glued this part back together. I think my phone's vibrating. Whoever's messaging me right now, you'll need to message me after the stream. So I'm waiting for this part to set. That's going to need a little bit more time, actually. So I'm going to let that set for the next like 20 minutes, half an hour, and then I'll glue it back to the top here. It's okay, I'm an idiot. Good evening, Rez. Tricky Pony fan. Thanks for following, subscribing. Hello, good evening, Nathan. Chrono saying. Nick, Miles. Good evening, Miles. How you doing? Hopefully you didn't catch all the Elder slander that we did last night in the stream. It got a bit out of hand at the end. I mean, it's Elder though, right? Like, I mean, they're not balanced, Miles. We know that. They're overpowered, so I mean, I'm gonna use a bigger brush. I'm painting a tank. Why the hell am I using a size 0 brush? As I'm good evening, Robert White. Finished assembling my second Brutalis. Why is there a shortage of primer? I didn't know there was a shortage of primer, Robert. Where's a bigger brush? Here's a bigger brush. This one bigger. That's a medium. It still looks pretty small. I had a bigger one lying out. No, that's small, that's small. I'd lose my head if it wasn't screwed on, honestly. It says medium. Yeah, okay, fine. It's medium. We'll make it work. I just wanted to add a little bit of this brush is Fubar. I'm not using this brush either. That one needs to be used for transfers now. We'll use this. What is this? Oh, that's a dry brush. God damn it! I've got to have a slightly big. I've got to have a reasonably decent bigger brush. This says base. What is this? It's medium, but it's all frayed. I don't want to have to use a tiny brush. There's nothing wrong with X-Arch. Yeah, sure, there's nothing wrong with Eldar, they're fine. Totally balanced. It won't matter to Miles because everything's going to change in a minute. Everything is going to change in 10th edition. It's all going to change. I got like a million brushes here, but nothing that I like the look of. I get some on windowsill as well. Give me one sec. I'll try this. Apparently I should have lost last night's game, though don't tell Colin. Because Rights of War is an aura, and Mortarion was turning auras off. So, I guess Rights of War wouldn't have affected the captain and the Death Company, I think. So I think in one of the turns where I obsec'd an objective from him, I wouldn't have been allowed to obsec it. So I think actually that's even more difficult. I already thought it was a crazy difficult matchup. in that, like, I basically can't charge him at all because I can't fight first, and like, I can't fight the first at all basically. But it would have been even worse in that I wouldn't have had my rights of war affecting me in a couple of situations there. So yeah, Colin should have won then. If he'd said, well, I mean, he did say that auras were turned off. I just thought it was reroll hits auras. Someone said in the YouTube comments, they're like, Death Guard should have won, Mortarion turns off rights of war. I was like, oh shit, does he? So that's brutal. That's actually, I mean, that was already a very difficult game for Blood Angels to play. Worse than I thought it was. Good evening, Gav, how you doing? But I mean, Colin 100% tailored that list to beat Blood Angels. I mean, he said as much. He's playing Andrew over in the Plastic Crackheads tonight, I think. I think they're probably live already. And I think he was tailoring to beat Andrew as well tonight. I mean, I suppose it's good to play a tough army, so it's good to play against someone that's tailoring their list to beat you, but at the same time, I don't know if it's really very... It's not really practice, is it? It's just like, okay, he's built an army that 100% counters everything that we do. But I don't suppose that'll matter going into 10th edition. I don't know if you guys read the rules today, or read the leaks today, or read the stuff today. It sounds like Space Marines are getting like a giant shake-up. So you'll be able to be Blood Angels, but you'll be able to swap out like your main rules, sounds like. It's hard to know exactly what they're going to let you do, but the stuff they said today, did you guys read it? It sounds like this is their solution for balancing Space Marines. And like, there was a rumor at one point that like chapters were gone, like Blood Angels would just not exist in 10th edition. I guess that's not the case, right? Chapters will still exist, but their chapter tactics aren't really unique to the chapters anymore, right? Like, if you want to mix it up and be Blood Angels, but take different potential, like a different super doctrine, you'll be able to do that. Even if they basically said, even if your army's painted red, you'll be able to do whatever the hell you want. I half joked earlier today that like maybe I need to rename this channel Adept as Astartes Commander, because I guess a little bit of the identity of Blood Angels will potentially be eroded away. I mean, in some ways though, it sounds like if you want to take a Primarch, you won't need to take the Blood Angel Primarch. You can take Guilliman, you could take Lion in a Blood Angels list now, right? That's what it sounds like. Benno thought the Lion looked a bit boring. Are we discussing the Lion's meh profile? He's not that meh, is he? He basically gets 10 Meltas on a BS of 2, and WS of 2, and if I assume that he gets to re-roll his own hits like the other like Primarchs and stuff, you basically have 10 Meltas. They're strength 10 as well, right? So 10 strength 10 Meltas in melee combat? I mean, it's not bad. I mean, arguably they're better than Meltas because they're flat 4 damage. It does make you wonder why the Lion swipes are 2 damage and a Brutalis' Dreadnought swipes only 1 damage though, right? That's I did say when I made my video on the Brutalis, it does seem like there's no uniformity to that stuff. It's just like they've just decided like, oh, he's a Primarch, so his sweeps do 2 damage. Oh, he's a Dreadnought, so his sweeps do 1 damage. It's like, hold on a minute. Why? His sweeps with his sword are more deadly than that giant Dreadnought with double claws. I don't know. I mean, I guess if you compare him to Angron, he doesn't get that many attacks, right? Dirty Wizard wants Rust to be the next Primarch. Mortarion's Living Plague ability is 3 inches from him, you lose your auras. So I wouldn't have lost my aura at the end of the game then, Reziel, would I? Because my chapter master was definitely more than 3 inches from Mortarion. He was right next to the Blightlord Terminator, so that's why I thought I would lose my auras. That's what someone called out in the YouTube comment. They were like, the Death Company wouldn't have been OBSEC. I mean, the Mortarion wasn't in. Mortarion 100% wasn't within 3 inches of my chapter master, or if he was, Mortarion would have heroic intervened him, so he wasn't there. He was like on the objective and the chapter master was behind the wall. So Mike did a great job on painting this for me. I just wanted to add a little bit. I thought like this back of it was very one monotone, just like thought I would I usually do pipes in sort of this brass. I think this is brass scorpion I'm using. So I thought I would change the pipes to brass scorpion just to give them a little bit of to break up all this sort of like rusted. I think this is Iron Warriors Grey or something. The shield is very boring. The shield seems a bit weird, to be honest. I don't know why the shield doesn't get the +1 to regular saving throws where... Like... Oh, hold on. I think it's my daughter shouting. I'll be back. 1 second. The Lions rules would change intensity. I did actually think it was kind of pointless then putting out rules for, like... The rules will literally change in, what, like 2 months? Maybe 3 months? If we assume we've got all of April, maybe all of July, and then the new box will come out. Sorry, April, May, and then maybe the new box will be June or July. So I don't know. I mean, if they release the Lions box in the next 4 to 6 weeks, there's not going to be a whole. There's not going to be a whole heap of time to play with the Lions rules in 9th edition. I feel like. But I guess the million-dollar question will be: Can any Space Marine army use the Lion in 10th edition? Because the rules they posted today over in Warhammer Community, I urge you to read them if you haven't read them. I'll probably make a video on it in the next week or so. But it sounds like Detachment's creation is very different. Chapter tactics are very different. Chapter tactics are maybe not as limiting now. So like almost you could just pick a good chapter tactic. If you decide that you don't think the Blood Angels chapter tactic is good, you could pick another one. Almost, I mean, I suppose it's just like successor chapters to a certain extent. I'm excited to try the new rules. I am excited for the 10th edition. I'm not entirely sure what it's going to bring, I guess, at this point. But I do think they've struggled to balance Marines this edition. You know, you've had Marines with win rates in the lowest of the low. Like, I think Imperial Fists have had the lowest win rate almost for this entire edition. Like at one point, I think Imperial Fists were down at like 27% win rate. Meanwhile, you've got Dark Angels who are like, hi, we've got a 60% win rate. And it's just like, okay. I mean, you're the same, kind of. I suppose if they do that, it'll also mean they don't need to rush out codexes for every single chapter. And that's a thing they've had problems with as well this edition, right? Whereas like some, you know, I guess some armies, Ultramarines, White Scars, who else? Imperial Fists, Salamanders. Like, there's a bunch of chapters that just flat out didn't get a 9th edition codex. They're still using their 8th edition one. That's why Guilliman, I think, still has that 3-up invulnerable save. I think if he was on a 9th edition codex, because like nothing in 9th edition, nothing that got rules released really in 9th edition had a 3-up invuln. Guilliman only has it, I guess, because it's like a legacy rule, and I guess that's why people are saying like the Lion is not that good, because yeah, I wonder if the Lion is I wonder if the Lion's going to get Inner Circle, so he can only be wounded on 4-ups. I mean, then if he can only be wounded on 4-ups, like he's basically permanent transhuman against everything, then his shield on a 4-up is probably okay. His shield on a 3-up might actually be obnoxious if he's permanent transhuman, right? I mean, even Angron can be wounded on 2s by Blood Angel Thunderhammers, right? Yeah, you're 100% right. I think it's because he's still using the 8th edition boot gav. I mean, if okay, Eldar got to keep their 3-up invuln. That's because I keep telling you, Miles, you don't believe me. Eldar are broken and overpowered. Okay, I mean, maybe Guilliman gets to keep his 3-up into 10th edition, but I feel like it's few and far between the models that have a 3-up invuln. Very few and far between. I actually think it's probably a good thing that they removed 3-up invulns, because they are a little bit too powerful, I think. I mean, last night, Guilliman basically survived 10 Blightlord Terminators in melee combat, right? Like, I almost think nothing should, you know... Well, I mean, I don't really think anything should be able to survive into 10 Blightlord Terminators. And he very nearly didn't, but he did. Just sort of a step too far for me in terms of like that's just a little bit too strong. Not much, but just a little bit. The Lion's not that good until he charges your biggest model and destroys it. I mean, maybe. I mean, the Lion obviously has more damage output than Guilliman, so I mean, maybe he's just more of an offensive character than a defensive character. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, the fact, like, I think Auspex Tactics, I think it was Auspex Tactics, had a video out on it earlier where he was saying that, like, the Lion will kill 12 Space Marines in combat in a single turn. And I was like, I mean, Guilliman typically won't do nearly that much, I would have thought. Maybe Guilliman kills half of that. So if the Lion's just a monster in melee combat, then maybe that's his thing. And you know, he does those mortal wounds when he gets hit. Maybe he has transhuman, and maybe he just isn't a super survivor. I mean, the thing about the Lion is he can probably be accompanied by a bunch of what they call Inner Circle. He can forest walk like Magic the Gathering. Yeah, I mean, he can forest walk as well. But here's the thing, even with a 9-inch charge with a reroll Highland Phoenix, we know that's not reliable. I mean, I had a 7-inch charge with a reroll last night to win the game and I failed it, so... I don't know if I overly like the idea of putting a Primarch into reserve hoping for a 9-inch charge. I mean, I don't even really like putting like a much cheaper unit like Sandguard or something into reserve for 9-inch charge, or Terminators. You know, it's very risky, and I feel like at tournament play, it's a little bit of a Hail Mary. It's like, you know, if you're trying to make that 9-inch charge, you're probably sort of in trouble. I feel. We still don't have his full rules, says Chip Hazard. That's very true, Chip. When we get the full rules, he could be wound capped, I suppose, says Wolveden. Yeah, I mean, he could be wound capped, who knows? If he's wound capped, then his 4-up shield that bounces mortal wounds back at people is actually brilliant. Yeah, until we see his full rules. But then the point, I guess the point is that even when we do get his full rules, he's not going to keep them for very long, because we're going to get fired straight on into 10th edition. So I'm more interested in about what's happening in 10th, to be honest, than the Lion's rules. I think the Lion is a cool model. I think it's cool he's accompanied by Bladeguard. I think Bladeguard are probably going to be pretty good in 10th edition. Have I seen the latest Detachment thing? Yeah, I have, Chris. What do you think of it? I think it sounds positive. I think it is maybe going to dilute chapter identity a little bit, which I'm not sure I love. But if it means that we don't get chapters that are broken for like 3 years, either underpowered or overpowered, then maybe that's going to be for the best. I was half joking earlier, saying that the channel might need to be renamed. If he gets Inner Circle, he'll be ruthless, says Dirty Wizard. Yeah, if he got Inner Circle and or wounds capped, he'll be... they haven't done a Space Marine character that's been wound capped before, so I don't know if we'll see that. But if he did... I mean, I very much imagine... I mean, he should probably have the Dark Angels keyword, so like, I don't think it'd be a long stretch for him to have Inner Circle, right? We are all still waiting to see Dante's new rules. I think we'll get Dante's new rules maybe at Warhammer Fest. That's like a month from now, end of next month. So I don't think we'll have too long to wait to see Dante's rules. I think it might lean into different playstyles. Yeah, I mean, it will lean into different playstyles. I guess the $1 million question will be like, how do chapter specific units work, right? Like, can you still take Sanguinary Guard and then, you know, take a chapter tactic that's completely different? If you can, then it will lead into different playstyles, and hopefully it'll lead into more balanced playstyles and less like less. I mean, I was going to say less like, not one-dimensional lists, but less one dimension within a chapter. You know, like I said, when there was a period in 9th edition where, like, as Blood Angels, you almost had to run, what was it? You had to run 3 squads of Sandguard and you had to run 3 squads of Death Company. And if you didn't do that, people were like, you don't know what you're doing. That's the only build that's viable for Blood Angels. Hey Felix, good evening. Hi Michael. Yeah, so I think the one thing it'll do is it'll get rid of that, right? Like, it will get rid of that completely, and week on week when we look at army lists on the channel, I guess we'll have like everybody could be picking different chapter tactics and stuff, which can completely change everything. So for that part, that actually kind of sounds kind of exciting to me. Like, there'll just be a lot more options within the chapter tactic. Or I know we can run successors right now, but I think a lot of people like to stick with like the core of Blood Angels. They're like, we like what we do, and that might stay. But imagine if we could pick a chapter tactic like White Scars. So you get your Red Thirst, which is their standard, +1 to charge, +1 to wound, or you could take like White Scars, which is like hey, now your whole army can advance and charge. People will be going, holy shit, the strength of Blood Angels is like how fast they are. Well, now the whole army can advance and charge if you take this one chapter tactic. Yes, you have to take some different stratagems, or yes, you have to maybe lose a warlord trait, but advance and charge changes everything, right? I feel like. We won't really know, I guess, for a couple of months what the full ins and outs are of the changes, I guess. But it does sound like it's going to be the best thing that we could probably hoped for. So like no one chapter should get left behind anymore. Regardless if we thought Blood Angels were fine or not in this edition, chapters were occasionally getting left behind. I mean, you could argue right now Blood Angels are being left behind. I think in the recent tournament data we had the lowest win rate. Like, we're down at 41%. So like, we've even fallen out of their quote-unquote Goldilocks zone now. So yeah, no one should get left behind. I think it's a good thing. I imagine the Red Thirst / Super Doctrine will probably still stay, but who knows? Dirty Wizard's going to Warhammer Fest with his wife. Nice. I got do you know what? I didn't get invited to Warhammer Fest. I got invited to a Warhammer World tournament today. I just don't think I can go to a tournament at the moment. Long story, I'm not probably going to a tournament until 10th edition, I guess. But yeah, everything I hear for 10th has me kind of excited. And I am also very excited to finally... as much as I've enjoyed running my Chapter Master on a bike, I'm really ready to replace him with proper, like, fully fledged Primaris Dante who has Primaris rules and whatever else comes along with that. I hope. I really hope. I've enjoyed running the Chapter Master on a bike a lot this edition. He's been MVP in a bunch of games for me, but I'm happy to get him retired. Blood Angels had a good run this edition. We had an okay run. I don't know if we were ever above a 50% win rate. Reziel, and I think that the people that win those giant tournaments are on a whole other level of the rest of us, if that makes sense. So, like the people that win those giant tournaments, I think if we play them, you know, like I wouldn't even really know if I would do anything against those people that win giant tournaments, right? I think they're on a whole other level in terms of like their skill and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I think we've had a 50% win rate most of like. I think we were sitting at like 49% for a long time, but I don't think we ever got above 50. So maybe this new way of dealing with chapters will make it more balanced. I mean, it will mean that lots of people jump on the, you know, like if one chapter is like a 55% win rate, or one detachment, I guess it would be called now, maybe, is a 55% win rate. I guess you would see a lot of people jump on that one, and it would likely get nerfed. But it also means no one would languish at the bottom with no real hope of getting out of there, I guess. We were at our best, I think, for sure, between the July and December. I mean, Armour of Contempt made us our best. It made the Death Company arguably reasonably survivable. It made the Sanguinary Guard very survivable. It made their Terminators, like, impervious to a lot of low AP shooting. That was definitely our best season for sure, but it was needed at the time for sure, I feel like. What would you run on a Sternguard Firstborn list? I'm running Sternguard at the moment actually in my army list, JC. I'm running 3 with Combi Plasmas, 2 with Multi-Meltas, and the Sergeant, who is one of the guys with the combi plasma, has a power fist. And you get all that for 100 points right now, and I think for 100 points that's actually pretty darn competitive. Bonus points if you can like get them near somebody for some rerolls, because then you can shoot the plasmas on high power. Like 3 Sternguard with combi plasmas on high power is kind of like an Inceptor, right? Because it's like 6 shots, strength 8 minus 3, 2 damage a shot. So you basically get like an Inceptor, and then you get 2 multi-meltas, and then you also have the power fist in there. So that feels pretty good. We were above 50% in Nephilim for sure. I think go check Reziel. I don't think we ever were, honestly. I mean, you can probably Google the meta watches. I'd be willing to bet that we were never above 50. I think we were at 49 in Nephilim for a while. If not, then I flamed someone on the Games Workshop Twitter account saying to them, could we just at least be above 50% once in this whole edition? That would be really nice. I can be pretty opinionated on Twitter. It reminds me of that quote from Jay and Silent Bob the movie, where he's like, apparently everybody in the internet has given everybody a voice, and everybody on the internet has used that voice to bitch about movies. Or in this case, bitch about GW balance. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think we're going to have to complain anymore, though, right? Because picking a chapter tactic, if our chapter tactic isn't working out, and I guess like a good example of that is like there's not. I've said for a few times there's not many chapter tactics that get nullified, right? For example, like there's nothing you can do, like you can't nullify inner circle for Dark Angels. You can't nullify, let's say, the ability of White Scars to advance and charge, but you can nullify the Red Thirst, right? You can just be like, I'm an army that has transhumans, so I've just nullified your chapter tactic. And I guess my point is that now, if the meta does change to a point where it was like there's a lot of armies out there that are nullifying our chapter tactic, we'll just be like, okay, well, our chapter tactic isn't so good at the moment, let's just change it. Let's just play something else. Let's keep all our units, but let's change the chapter tactic. So I only see that as a good thing. I know technically you could do that as successors, but like I said, a lot of people didn't. A lot of people wanted to stay loyal to the Blood Angels. I feel like I did want to stay loyal as well. But maybe having something slightly / completely different to jump onto will be very cool. I don't know. Yeah, I'm surprised they left Imperial Fists languishing at the bottom for the whole edition, honestly. I don't know why they did. Yeah, I'm excited for 10th as well, Chris. 100%. I think it's going to be really good. I know it said it's going to be a little bit simpler, but I also prefer slightly shorter games. I think I'm old, so if they simplify it a little bit and every game takes 20 minutes less to play, I'm actually totally fine with that. Especially if you're going to like a 3-day tournament, because usually by like game 3 my brain is just melted. I always make mistakes in the 3rd game of the day. Well, it'll be like, oh, I forgot about this, or actually made a mistake in the game against Miles at the last GT where I just completely forgot about my Voidsman at arms. In turn 3 I was just like, I'd moved on to like the shooting phase or something, and I was like, oh Miles, I have forgotten my Voidsman. They're dead. And he was like, no, they're not dead. Just put them on in the corner where it was obvious you were making space in the corner. Put them in the corner. So, I mean, that was very sportsmanly of Miles. As much as I diss Miles for playing that was a very good sportsman move. I think I actually voted you for best sportsman, Miles, because you let me put those Voidsmen back on the table after I'd forgotten in game 3. But that's just That's just like what happens if you play 40k for like, I guess like 7 hours straight. You're gonna forget something, right? Raven Guard were bad in 9th. If you consolidate into another unit and you end with an engagement range of them, yes, 100% they can hit you, Marco. Back in a second. Oh, sorry. Kevin says he's excited for 10th, but having fun with the new toys at the moment. I feel like I need to make my Desolation Marines and my Brutalis as soon as possible. And once we get a little bit closer to 10th, like maybe a month or two from now, I might cancel a couple of my Gut Live games on Wednesday nights and just spend a little bit more time making models and hobbying. I want to have as many options as I can ready for 10th edition. I've actually got a video coming out tomorrow on the channel about how I'm preparing for 10th edition. So that's like this week's tactics video, because I feel like that's kind of where it's going in the next couple of months anyway, right? I want my 2K games to last 2 hours, says Stephen. So somebody agrees with me. 2K games last in 3 hours. I'm trying to think. I think at tournaments they give you 3 hours, right? Because normally tournaments start at 9 in the morning, and you usually start like 9:30, and you break for lunch at about 12:30. So I think at the moment you get about 3 hours for a tournament game. I wouldn't have a problem with that being like 2.5. If that got knocked down a little bit, I'd be totally fine with that. I think my brain would be less. I usually always have a headache at the end of like playing 3 games of Warhammer in a single day. I wish this model was plastic. I think this model is getting a plastic kit, honestly. I think they're making a plastic Terrax, right? I thought I saw on Warhammer Community, because they were going on about the new plastic, they're always going on about the new plastic kits they're doing for Heresy. I was convinced they were doing a plastic Terrax. Yeah, I could be wrong. Can't wait for the plastic Dreadclaw. It is nice that they're giving all these old kits a bit of like new life or something, right? Whatever you want to call it. 'Cause, 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 'cause Yeah, my Terrex totally failed me last night. Apparently, Blood Angels just can't kill Death Guard Terminators in the shooting phase. I think I had just some really, really bad phases of shooting. What do you guys think they're going to do with Fight Last in 10th edition? Do you think they're going to keep all that complexity, or do you think they're going to get rid of it? I kind of wish they would do something to get rid of Fight Last, because I think if your army really relies on being able to make combats, Fight Last, especially like last night he just has a 12-inch bubble of Fight Last. You know, like we say that Guilliman's aura 12 inches pretty giant. Well, 12 inches of like, hey, you don't count as charging and you fight last. That's like, it's not stupid, I guess. But I mean, it shuts down so hard what Blood Angels try and do, right? And I guess that's, yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying about certain people's chapter tactics doesn't get affected and certain people's does. You know. Because like again, I guess use Inner Circle for an example. Like, there's no way to shut off Inner Circle, but there's a relic for Death Guard that shuts off like our ability to get +1 attack and +1 to wound as well, right? So like, technically, actually, that shuts off both our Super Doctrine and our chapter tactic. So like, 1 CP to shut off our Super Doctrine and our chapter tactic. That seems, you know, seems pretty useful, I guess. Like I say, Colin did tailor his list because he knew he was going to be fighting me. But still, I'm not in love with rules like that where there's the ability to like shut down an army for 1 CP. You know, like if you had a stratagem that was like, shut off Inner Circle for 1 CP against Archangels, you tell me you wouldn't use it every turn? Of course you'd use it. Those Terminators are so difficult to kill. All of a sudden you can wound them on 2s again. Yeah, you'd be using that every turn. I bet you would. Blood Angels should be immune to Fight Last. I mean, maybe. Or just they just need to fix the rules, I guess. I mean, you could argue if Blood Angels are immune to Fight Last, World Eaters should be immune to Fight Last as well. But then World Eaters do have like a 1 CP core units fight on death. I mean, if Blood Angels had a 1 CP core unit fight on death, then I'd probably be okay with Fight Last shenanigans like that we currently have. Because if you could just fight Death Company or Sanguinary Guard on death for 1 CP, that would be pretty good. Auto wounding shuts off Inner Circle. I suppose that's true, Raziel, good point. So Votan are good against them, I guess, and anyone else that has auto wounds. What else does auto wounds typically? I've never actually seen Votan play Dark Angels. Is that a... Who wins that game? Does Votan win it? Like, if both players are equal skill and both players have a high tier list, who wins? Votan or Dark Angels? I assume the Votan player would, like, the Votan, what are they called? Like, the conglomerates? I forget what they're called. But the Ymir, the Ymir, I think it's called conglomerate, or, basically like their chapter. The Ymir chapter just seemed like by far the best. Because it basically gives like your whole army a pretty decent invuln save. And you can do those guaranteed 4 mortal wounds pretty much every time you shoot the Hecatonk for no CP, which is pretty nice. So if you have a Hecatonk that lives the whole game, that's just pretty much 20 mortal wounds guaranteed, just given out on top of whatever other damage it's doing. And I think its main laser is like 4 damage a shot as well, right? Like it's no slouch. It's absolutely no slouch. Dark Angels have a slightly higher because of the secondaries. I mean, I guess that would make sense. We know Dark Angel secondaries are really good, don't we? I've only played Votann a couple of times since I was going to say since Arcs of Omen came out. I think I've only played Votann like 2 times. I actually think they lost quite a bit. Remember, because the community had the giant uproar about Votann being too strong. Like, it was a giant uproar in the community. I don't know if I thought they were strong, but I don't know if they were quote-unquote too strong. Votann win if they catch the units, Dark Angels win if they hide and score well. Yeah, I mean, if Votann ever can get like multiple targets out in the open, I guess the Votann have a really good chance, especially like we just said, mortal wounds, I guess, counter inner circle. So I guess that's a dead Terminator every turn just from the Hecatomb firing, right? Gene Rot Might, yeah, not many people use Gene Rot Might in my experience. I found that I know about Gene Rot Might, obviously. I'm a Marine player. I know all my Marine strats, but Gene Rot Might is something that I very rarely find myself playing. I'm not even really sure why I rarely find myself playing it, but I do. I feel like Gene Rot Might sort of like, you know, when you get to the end of the game and you've got a CP left and you're desperate to kill that last one mod or something. That's like the one time in a game I feel like I use Gene Rot Might. Dark Angels haven't been above 55% till Arcs of Omen, yeah. The only Devastator Doctrine in Codex Warfare put them over the edge. Yeah, I mean, I think they were sitting at like 49 before Arcs of Omen or something like that, right? Games Workshop should have known that Devastator Doctrine crap was going to skew Iron Hands and Dark Angels massively again. I feel like that was a mistake that had been made previously. Gene Rot Might on Aggressors might be a good play. Yeah, I mean, I haven't really fielded... You know what, I fielded Aggressors a lot in 8th edition. I didn't really field them much in 9th at all. Which is weird, because I really loved them in 8th. Sometimes that's the way it goes. I've made a list for tomorrow's video of all the units that I think are going to be really good in 10th. And that's kind of why... Well, I mean, I'm not actually painting one of the units that I've mentioned in the video, but I do think that I do think like a lot of units are going to be a lot better in 10th edition, and I have made a video for tomorrow. When I get off here tonight, I'm going to make the thumbnail and write the description, so I've got to remember to not forget to do that. Steve hopes Leviathans make a comeback. Well, they did say that all the Forge World models are getting rules. That's something that they definitely said. It's weird because Leviathans used to be 330 points, right? But I feel like they got a little bit more play at 330 than they maybe have at 290. I feel like they were a little bit more obnoxious at 330. Like, because I think they had a 4-up in Vun save when they were 330. Which just kind of 14 wounds with -1 damage, and I think they had toughness 8 as well when they were 330. But I mean, technically, one of the units that could come back with a bang, might not come back with a bang, but could come back with a bang, and I kind of hope he does come back with a bang, could be good old Librarian Dreadnought, huh? If he goes to toughness 11. Because they did say that armor might go up to much higher toughness, right? If the Leviathan Dreadnought, sorry, if the Librarian Dreadnought goes up to like toughness 10 plus, and AP is much less across the board, because they said that as well, then that could be really interesting. That could actually open up the Librarian Dreadnought as like a, you know, people are, it's already been said tonight in chat, you know, like people don't love it that Blood Angels don't have a Primarch. I mean, he's dead, but you know, they would like us to have some sort of similar strong monster type character. Could it be our Librarian Dreadnought? Could he become a monster in the new edition? I mean, I don't know the answer, but certainly worth hoping, maybe, right? I hope they don't put the Achilles into Legends. It's hard to say what they're going to do with Legends. I think they will Legends some stuff, because they did Legends some stuff in 9th. And I think there probably is a trend of them legending, or however you would phrase that. Legending. I think they will legending something, or legend something. But just, I guess, hopefully not too much, right? Used to be toughness 8, 2-up, 4-up, and weapon skill and ballistic skill of 2. Did they used to have weapon and ballistic skill of 2? I don't remember that. I guess that's why they were 330 points. I think the Terrax is a thing of beauty, guys. If you don't have one, you should get one. The bike captain is something they might put in Legends. He certainly is, considering that they put the bike chaplain in Legends last edition. If they put the bike captain into Legends, I would assume it's because we're getting a Primarchs bike captain, which I think I could be cool with. I mean, if he's just the same sort of like extra wounds, hopefully he gets a good array of weapon options. But I mean, I don't have a problem with them doing like my because people often ask about Sangre Guard. I don't necessarily want to have to paint 30 new Sangre Guard. If the new Terminators are anything to go by, what would please me more with Sangre Guard is just like a new sculpt for Sangre Guard, right? Where it's like there's bigger, cooler looking Sangre Guard, but no one needs to go out and buy 30 Sangre Guard. And maybe they just get like a bit of a rules refresh. Because I assume the Terminators are going to have a bit of a rules refresh, right? Like, I can't imagine... I heard a rumour that Terminators are going to Toughness 5? I mean, it's just a rumour, right? But if Terminators kept all their current, like, armour saves and stuff and got Toughness 5, then they would be monsters, I guess, right? The new Dante comes with a jump pack, maybe Primaris Captain will as well. Yeah, I mean, maybe. It is a little bit funny that we haven't had a single Primaris, considering how many Primaris Lieutenants and stuff we've had. It's funny that we haven't had one yet that's had a jump pack. That does seem a little bit odd to me, because you would think the one with the jump pack would really sell well, because he would complement a lot of armies, ours specifically, but I'm sure he would complement other armies as well, right? Vehicles having more than toughness 10, yeah, I mean, if you were just here a minute ago, I was saying, do you think our Librarian Dreadnought will maybe become a really good HQ choice if he suddenly has really high toughness? If AP's down, so we don't need to worry so much the fact he's got no invulnerable save, and high toughness is a thing for like vehicles and stuff. I mean, I guess there's a lot to think about and a lot to consider and a lot to hope for, really. Oh, this T-Rex is close. Zio says, I love how clean your vehicles are. How do you do it? This one is a commission. This one is mine as well, though. It's maybe not quite as clean. It's still pretty clean, though. But, I mean, I just take my time, man. I don't do edge highlighting on them. I just try and make them vibrant. I use a much brighter red than a lot of people use. But I mean, people that watch the channel will know I'm the slowest painter ever. I go back and forth over things that look perfect. Just because. There's no telling if the librarian will... Yeah, there's no telling if anything will be good, and there's no telling what is going to get legend res as well, so... I've made this video tomorrow where I'm going to tell you what my priorities are for trying to be ready for 10th edition. Whether or not I'm right, I have no idea, and whether or not my priorities are good. I'm sure some of you will agree and some of you will disagree with my priorities. I did put the Brutalis on my priority list though, because I think if AP, like my biggest problem with the Brutalis was his lack of invulnerable save. So I think if AP is really down across the board, which is what they said, then I think a bunch of marine armor and stuff that was maybe not good. I mean, I don't think... Sorry, maybe that's the wrong thing to say. I don't think the Brutalis is not good. I think it's too vulnerable to high AP weaponry. So I guess if my point is, if high AP weaponry isn't a problem and it's got higher toughness, then I guess you could argue the Brutalis is going to be really good. You could argue it's going to be even better for the likes of the Black Templars with their built-in invuns and stuff, but doesn't mean it'll be bad for BA, right? At some point I'll do a video on painting vehicles. But I mean, I actually think vehicles are a lot easier than guys. Or infantry, rather. Guys. That's a very technical term. They're going to try and balance armies in 10th. I would take that to Marines won't be superior to other armies first and foremost. Yeah, I mean, I'm not expecting Marines to be more superior. I think with Marines they're going to maybe try and balance it so it's not like quite so skew-list with Marines. Like, I guess like Dark Angels running like 30 OBSEC Terminators. They're going to try and make that not as strong, I think. Yeah, someone just said, Dirty Wizard just said 44 Death Wing Terminators. Yeah, I think they're going to try and do something so that we're not going to see stuff like that. Which I'm totally cool with. I'm totally fine with all that, like... I mean, there's too many variables to dive into, I guess. But yeah, I think the new edition is going to be good. I think that it's going to... I think it sounds like they know what's wrong with the current edition, and it sounds like they're going to address some of it. So I guess we can just hope that they address enough of it, and it'll be good for everyone. No one will be left on a crappy win rate for like a year or more. And likewise, hopefully no one will be on giantly inflated win rate for a year or more. Like, it should be a lot easier for them to balance if it starts fully digitally. They could just release a new data sheet, you know, if they see that, like, I don't know. I mean, what's the most latest broken thing? The car skin? If they can, like, if they just see, like, oh, this one unit can do, like, 12, 15 mortal wounds in a turn of shooting, I think someone said it did 20 mortal wounds and 1 turn of shooting for 1 CP, and it's like a 100-point unit. It's like if they see that, they can just instantly fix it. Because all the rules in that are built into the datasheet, which they can just tweak. Who knows, though? Fingers crossed. Did the article imply that we get to pick our doctrine every turn? It did a bit, Monkey. The way I read the article was that it sounded like you could. It did sound like the. It made me think that we would be able to pick Assault Doctrine from turn 1 if that's what we wanted to be in. That's honestly how I read it. If you felt that it let you pick every turn, then arguably you read it similar to how I felt I read it. I felt like it's too good to be true, honestly, because I've been wanting that for I don't know how long. But yeah, it did feel like there is a potential that you will be able to just doctrine up to whatever doctrine you want from turn 1, and I thought that sounds possibly too good to be true, I guess. But if they're changing all the rules around Marines and like what doctrines we can be in when and what chapter tactics actually do, and they're trying to like balance that again from the ground up, and it's much more unified, then maybe it isn't a problem. Maybe we would be able to be an Assault Doctrine from turn 1, and maybe that's all balanced and everybody's happy, and you can run a Blood Angels army without needing a Sanguinary Priest or without needing a character to put you in Assault Doctrine. I always thought that was kind of like a limitation of the Blood Angels this edition, where it's like you kind of have to run like the priest. The priest is an auto-include, pretty much, but he's not that good. I mean, like, what he does is great, right? What he does was amazing, like get you into Assault Doctrine in turn 1 and 2 and get multiple units in. That's amazing. Beyond that, he doesn't do anything. I mean, I guess some people would run him with Teeth of Terra and he'd do a little bit of damage, but for the most part, it was like, once you've done turn 1 and 2, this character is essentially kind of useless. What's the 2 secondaries you always fall back on, Gitley? It's Relentless Assault and Behind Enemy Lines, isn't it? No, sorry, not Behind Enemy Lines. Retrieve Battlefield Data. Yeah, so then your 3rd secondary is... There isn't a good one for Blood Angels right now. You could take Oath, but that relies you to have something strong and durable hold the middle, which, in certain games that's just not feasible because you won't have the strength to just sit units in the middle, and if there's not enough cover in the middle, you're just going to get shot. So Oath is... And also, Oath's really dumb because it scores at the end of the battle round and not the end of the turn. So Oath isn't a good choice. If we still had Fury of the Lost... Man, I did one tournament with Fury of the Lost. One friggin' tournament, and I won it. And that's it. I've just finally found the way to get good at Fury of the Lost. Probably like 5 minutes before it got removed from the game. How annoying. But yeah, there isn't a good secondary. You end up having to take basically like one of the army specific ones, or, and I think this is probably one of the reasons why Blood Angels don't have the highest win percent rate, right? Because the guy that won LVO with Blood Angels, I assume he was taking Fury of the Lost, right? Because I think, like, if you want to win events, you need to be able to, like, if you look at like Necrons, they can pick secondaries, but they don't even care what they're facing against. They're like, well, I'll just pick ancient machineries and I'll get 15 points, and I'll just pick this other Necron one and I'll get 15 points. You know, like, you need secondaries like that where, like, you can do it regardless of who you're fighting against. Right, I think I've added enough extra colours to this. I think that's good. Just wanted to break up some of the, like, this just felt too black at the back with no extra colour in it. So there's an extra colour in there now. I probably just actually could put some silver in there. I don't think I need to. Maybe these vents here. Maybe we'll just do these vents, and then there'll be enough colour there. We added these here. Put a little bit of metal on the very front. I guess, like, the idea is the drill's diamond tipped or something. I think the biggest problem with secondaries at the moment is for Marines, and I mean, this is a hot take, I guess. The biggest problem for secondaries for Marines, in my opinion, is that the 3 Space Marine ones, like Shock Tactics, Codex Warfare, and I don't even remember a third one. Oath of Moment, sorry. Those 3 are designed, like, very generically to work across 10 different factions of Marines. It's maybe not 10, but it's close. Probably is actually 10 if you work it out. So they're designed to work across 10 different factions of Marines, right? And then each Marine army gets one on top. Well, I guess some Marine armies synergize really well with those the generic ones, and some just don't synergize at all with the generic ones. And whereas, like, if you're World Eaters, you don't have, like, generic ones to worry about. They've just made, like, or Necrons, for example, they've just made 3 World Eater specific ones, and you get on just fine, right? So, like, I think that's my hot take on it, and I think that's why the idea of them saying, like, hey, you'll switch out your objectives and everything with your battle sheets might work a lot better. Might not work a lot better, but I feel like it's a chance to work a lot better, because you're going to switch out those sort of things to I guess we'll find out, right? I mean, Nephilim, I guess. Sorry, not Nephilim. Arts of Omen was always felt like a end of season or end of edition season. Like, it always felt like to me, it's always felt a little bit half baked, I guess. You know, like, I've been running Sternguard, and like, Sternguard are a good example, right? Like, for every other Marine unit, it costs 25 points or 20 points for a multi-melta. For the most part, I guess Black Templar's got some free here and there. But, like, Sternguard multi-meltas don't cost any points. So it's like, certain things felt a little bit half-baked. And I mean, I guess a another big example of things being half-baked was maybe the Inceptors, where it was like everyone was like, oh shit, Inceptors are back down to like 40 points per model, and they were like, actually, we didn't think about this properly. Inceptors are too good to be 40 points per model, so they're not 40 points per model. Good evening, Dwayne, how you doing? Got any stats for a flowchart at 3.5? I mean, that's a good question, actually, Highland Phoenix. I could probably try and see if the data is available to make the new flowchart for like secondary picking, but I honestly think at the moment it's going to be. You'd be surprised. It's probably going to be Oath. That like if you break down tournament data, I imagine it's probably going to be Oath of Moment that's going to be the statistically highest third one, because when I take it, it does still kind of automatically score you somewhere between like 8 and 10. I think I picked it twice at the event that I went to and got 11 average. I think I did, or was it 13? I can't remember. I remember it scoring really high, like higher than I expected it to score at the event. And I think that like Space Marine players probably fall back on it because it's like, or at least I found myself falling back on it a lot, because I don't run a list that's usually going to go for Relentless Assault, because I think there's too many matchups where like Relentless Assault is just tough to do or bad to do, and I get some people have managed to make that work, but I don't like giving up units. You know, like I don't like just running a unit into the enemy's deployment zone and going, well, I got my 4 points, but that unit's now dead. So then I think some players probably fall back on Oath, and if you're running a list with like an Impulsor and Blade Guard veterans, then it's dead easy to fall back on Oath, because you're just like, well, I'll just park my Repulsor in the middle of the map, or I'll just put my Blade Guard in the middle of the map. But I mean, assuming that we get data for the tournament data into 10th edition Highland, I'll 100% make that flow chart. If there is data, I might update it. I just have a funny feeling it's going to be Oath of Moment. That's because if other Blood Angels players like me shy away from doing, you know, let's be real, like not that many people have been running that Landspeeder Storm. Few people at the highest levels run it, but I don't think it's what your average player runs. Like I don't think your average Blood Angels player runs a Landspeeder Storm. Like, people didn't even know it was good until Sam started winning events with it, right? I don't mean everybody didn't know, I just mean in general, right? Until Sam was running it, people were like, Landspeeder Storm wasn't even on their radar. I don't even think it was on my radar, to be honest. I mean, you got to remember, up until like just maybe even like as little as like, let's say 8 weeks ago, probably like when I went to that tournament, like I made the video on going to the tournament with Gilliman, like I would think it was, do you know what? I think it was this year. So this year's only like 12 weeks ago. So even within the last 12 weeks, there's been someone that's come on the channel and be like, "You're running a whirlwind? You don't know anything about Blood Angels. The whirlwind's terrible." Like, that happens. Like, that's in my YouTube comments. Like, that's genuinely there, Hannah Phoenix. And I'm like, okay, sure. You don't know anything about Blood Angels. Or you don't know anything about Fight Last, I guess, or Overwatch. You know, but like, I say the whirlwind never kills stuff, and then in stream it goes and kills all of Andrew's Imperial Guard. It killed all of his, what was it? It killed all his artillery in turn 1, and I was like, oh, whirlwind does kill things, I guess. But for the most part, in most normal games, the whirlwind kills nothing. It's literally there to suppress enemy units and kill, you know, you're not expecting to kill anything. If it kills something, it's a bonus. It's really not there to do that, right? Yeah, so my video for tomorrow, what's the time? It's coming up to 11. Alright, I've got like 10 more minutes. So if there's any dying Blood Angels questions you need to ask them in chat in the next 10 minutes. Otherwise, you'll have to wait till my new video comes out around 1 PM tomorrow. I wanted to just break up the front of this as well from being a giant wodge of one colour. I think these strips of silver have done that quite nicely, actually. Better than I kind of expected. I was kind of looking at it thinking, how can I break this up? So, normally I wash all my silver with Nuln Oil, but I think I'm going to leave this silver here like this so it contrasts and just stands out a little bit. Do you think the Terminator Assault Squad is going to get a points nerf? They're cheap with Storm Shields and Thunderhammers. I don't think they're going to change the points for the end of the edition. No, I don't really think they need to. I mean, maybe they change them so that Dark Angels aren't quite so obnoxious. So I guess maybe? The reason I decided to paint this guy tonight was because Colin chipped his paint last night with his damn tape measure. And I was like, alright, this guy needs painted and finished so that I can varnish him. Damn you, Colin. Damn you. They need to take away the 3 free war gear and Terminators. I mean, maybe. Everybody else has to pay 5 points for a Thunderhammer and Storm Shield, so maybe they need to pay the same. How often do you run four characters for? How often do you run into four characters in opponents' play? I mean, against certain armies, you'll run into multiple characters. That will happen. The problem, I think, with Assassinate is like, you know, people will hide characters if you pick Assassinate, and then I guess it depends on like if they feel like they can do an okay job. Like it's a lot of points. Assassinate is a lot of points. If they can just keep their, like, let's say you're playing Eldar and they've got all Farseers and they think, well, we can just keep all these Farseers at the back and make them really difficult to get to, and that's 15 points. Then arguably they might not need to score that well anymore on their other ones and still win because they've just denied you like 15 points, or well, maybe 12 points, 13 points, I guess, if it's just four characters. But yeah, I mean, Assassinate for me is a tricky one to pick because, I mean, in casual games, by all means, Assassinate I feel is fine. At high level tournament play, I mean, if someone takes Assassinate against Blood Angels, at the end of the game, I mean, arguably, if you've got a Sanguinary Priest as well, you can have like one hit point characters just running away across the board and be like, haha, this one hit point character will advance like, 17 inches behind this terrain in the very back corner, and you'll never be able to get him, and that's just denying you, if it's a Warlord, it's denying you 4 points. So, I'm kind of I mean, it's one of the reasons that I didn't think Blade of Sanguinius was a very good one. I think if we look back at the flowchart, I think Assassinate only averages about 8 points per game. So Assassinate's kind of a low scoring secondary. So people only pick it then. So basically, what you're saying is people only pick Assassinate when they think, because people aren't going to pick Assassinate if they don't think they can assassinate you. So people only pick it when they think you can assassinate them, and then it's a low scoring one, which arguably means it's pretty bad. Hey Foz, good evening, how you doing? The Thunderfire cannon was good last edition, now it is indeed terrible. I haven't actually run into barely anyone playing Thunderfire cannons against me this edition, honestly. I remember playing Iron Hands running 3 Thunderfire cannons last edition, but thank God for the indirect fire changes. I feel like you just don't see them anymore, which I think is a good thing. I don't know if anyone plays Orc Rucka Buggies, whatever they're called anymore, either. They were obnoxious with the indirect fire. Dromar, good evening, how you doing? I'm good. Indeed, I am good. But I'm wanting to make a video on Dante. I'm hoping that we'll get his rules and like. I really think Dante was maybe planned for Warhammer Fest. So I think maybe if we're wondering when we might get Dante's rules, I think it might be Warhammer Fest, which is just a month away now. Less than a month, is it? Is this the first tomorrow? No, first is on Saturday, is it? I think Warhammer Fest is like the 29th of April. Orcs in 9th seem to be either really strong or really bad. There's no middle ground for them. Yeah, Orcs have had a weird season. I'll definitely agree with that. There was a period where Orcs were just... I think it was just after the Codex came out, where they were just enormously good, but it really felt like they fell off like so quickly. I really hope that's what this new way of doing the rules will prevent, where like armies come out, like you remember Custodes came out and they were like the hot take for like 2 minutes and then they fell off and no one wanted to run Custodes. I hope this change that they're making to like the rules and the digitalness of it and the return to indexes and the simplicity of the game, I really hope that that's going to be like the catalyst of like armies don't have like a minute in the limelight. Like the balance across the whole game is just going to be better. We're not going to have to worry so much, I guess, about like certain armies having become bad. I guess, would that be the right word? Like they got launched and then they became bad and then they get no play. I really hope that's I guess that's what I'm hoping that like 10th edition will do really. Alright, I think I might be calling that done. As I say that, I see a bit of chip paint there. God damn it! Alright, once I fix this chip bit of paint, it might be done. I mean, models are always going to chip, right? Like, they can't be perfect. Yeah, I think we're doing it. The Terex is done. I'm going to do transfers on it next time because it's 11:10 and I have to finish my video for tomorrow. So I guess that's the plan for Saturday night. Terex transfers. I don't know what transfers I'm going to put on it. Does anyone have any pictures of a Terex with transfers on it? If you do, if you could link me your Terex with your transfers on it in Discord, I'd appreciate it, because I have no idea what transfers I'm putting on it. Well, thanks, Dirty. I mean, I've got to give a lot of credit to Mike. Mike did all the base... I mean, that's one, you know... I only spent the 2 hours that I've spent tonight on that Terex. Mike painted all the rest of it. I did link to Mike's Facebook page on the video where I unboxed this. I'm not sure if Mike is taking more commissions right now, but I would say that Mike is a very decent guy and solid painter. Like, I wanted him to match my style 100% though. Like I said to him, like, it has to match what I've done already, because my army has to match, basically. Can't believe that I dropped the I dropped my tape measure on the gladiator tank and broke this gun off of it last night. Such an idiot. It's almost sticking. Put Horus Heresy transfers on it, that would be better. I've got some. Definitely have some Horus Heresy transfers. I mean, if no one's got any pictures of the Terrax, I guess I'll guess and I'll do something. How am I going to balance this for the glue to set? Something like this, maybe? Okay. But yeah, I don't know how many hours it would take me to paint a Terrax. Probably like... maybe... I was going to say, I don't know if it would be as many as 20, but 10 hours? Somewhere between 10 and 15 hours, I think, is what it would take me to paint the Terrax. So, commissioned it to Mike, then I just need to spend, what have I streamed for tonight? Like 2 hours? 2 hours to just touch up a few things and make it feel like it fits with the rest of my models. I could have probably given him more in-depth detail about every single little bit to match 100%, but I mean, I said to him, like, probably whatever you send me, I will spend a little bit of time making it match what I already have. This friggin' black paint is another one of these terrible Games Workshop pots that has all crusted up. So what a way to end the stream. We'll just get this damn extra crusted up paint out of this pot of black. Sometimes the lids close okay with this crap in there, but I feel like it's only a matter of time. If you don't get it out, it just gets worse, and then the lids don't close and then your paint dries out. There we go. Come out of there, you pile of... Look at all that. Look at all that. How much wasted paint is that? A lot. It's probably like a whole millimeter of paint. So what's this pot? 12 millimeters or something? There, 10% of the paint has turned into this. If anyone from Games Workshop is watching, please, for the love of God, just sell your paints in dropper bottles. I'll buy them all again in the dropper bottles. I will. Okay. I'm not bitter. Honest. It's about time GW switched to dropper bottles. You're telling me, Dirty Wizard. You're telling me. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out tonight. I hope you enjoyed the Terrax. If you haven't been watching my battle reports, I've kind of fallen in love with the Terrax a little bit. I've run it at a GT now, and I think I've run it for like... I mean, maybe it's because the Stern Guard are so cheap right now, and it makes... they're a cool unit to put Stern Guard into, right? But let me... I'll hide the chat 1 second. There you go. Yeah, I barely did anything. I want to say I painted 5% of that. So Mike gets credit for 95% of it. On Saturday night, I'll figure out where I'm putting transfers. I'm guessing some of these doors... might put one on every door. Maybe that's too ambitious. We'll see. I just noticed that what are you putting inside it? 5 Stern Guard and a Tech Marine is what's inside at the moment. But I did think it would be just as good with 5 Stern Guard and like a Chapter Champion. What else was I going to say? I was going to say something about... Yeah, no, I was looking at my membership goal. I got 21 members this month. My goal is 5. Apparently that's 400. That's 420%. Like 420. How is that 420? And my goal is 5. Alright, yeah, that is 420%. So thank you everybody that became a member this month. That's way more than I'd hoped for. It's funny because when I put my membership goal at 10, I never got 10. So I've put it at 5 now. I get 21 new members this month. Thank you so much for becoming a member. Thank you to everybody that's in a green name that is still a member. The company drop transfer in each side of the door. Yeah, maybe like a Blood Angel here, you think? And then a company drop on the other one. That's really, if I do that though, do it on a couple of doors. I'll on Saturday night be here, Highland Phoenix. I'll have my transfer sheet out and I'll do whatever. I think I will definitely do that on at least one door, or like one set of doors, maybe even 2 sets of doors, maybe like the 2 top ones or the 2 side ones, and then maybe I'll try and get some Horus Heresy nonsense on the other ones. Put the chapter symbol on the tail, like here. Oh, that could be interesting. I've got 2 of my Stern Guard with Meltas, I've got 3 of them with Combi Plasmas. But that was really because I couldn't find any more Combi Meltas. You could go with Combi Meltas, but remember Combi Plasmas can rapid fire from half range, so you basically get 6 Strength 8 -3, 2 damage if you overcharge them. I felt when I was making them, I almost went all Combi Meltas, but the cool thing about having the Plasmas was it gave me a little bit of versatility, and I always feel like versatility in a battle is good because you never know who you're going to face against, right? It'll be nice when the turrets can take Primarchs. Let's hope, Dirty. Let's hope. Alright, enjoy the rest of your evening, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out tonight. I'll see you, I guess, when I see you. New video out tomorrow about 1 o'clock. Peace. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't done that already. I need to set up a little subscribe banner. I do have one. It doesn't always work. There we go. Subscribe. Good night.